Hello, hello. Welcome. So you want to start a book club. That's very exciting. Or maybe you already have a book club and you just want a few tips on how to run things a little more smoothly. Either way, you're in the right place. I don't have that much experience with book clubs, but I have been running my own Munich book club for the past 2 years now, which I'm quite proud about because, there are some logistical things you have to keep in mind and like communication that you have to upkeep. And I'm just proud that I've kept it up this far. So yeah, here are just some practical tips in case you want to get started with your own book clubs. It might be a bit vague to start with this, and bear with me, okay, but it is important. It is you should ask yourself why. Why do you want to start a book club? Because realistically, there probably are already established book clubs in your area or even online. There's also these celebrity book clubs and stuff like that. So there's certainly a market or a niche where you would be able to find a place where you could discuss books. So, question, why do you specifically want to start one? And what can you offer for book club members? In my experience, it was simply because I had moved to Munich. I was new to the city, and joining an already established book club felt a little intimidating because I figured those people are already friends with each other and it might be difficult to get a foothold into the community. So I just figured I'll start a book club with other people who are also new in the city, and that kind of rolled. I mean, it was slow. We were a very small group, but yeah, it picked up, and now I'm happy to say that we still have one of the original members. It's not that hard to start a book club, but just ground yourself in why are you doing this because it is a bit of a commitment. Okay, so you figured out why you want to do it. Now comes the topic of people. I actually don't think it'll be that hard to recruit people to your own book club simply because in the age of social media right now, it is very easy to advertise any project that you're working on. So if you just reach out to a friend of a friend or your coworkers, if you vibe like that, I'm sure you will find someone, at least one person who is interested. And all it takes is one person to get everything rolling. So I wouldn't concern yourself so much with who is joining at first, but I would already come up with a bit of a plan of how to like cap things. You need to decide what is the capacity because logistically it's just not easy to organize meetups and adjusting to everyone's timeline or time schedule. It's just not realistic. And also, if a book club is so full of people, it can kind of throw off the discussion or make some people feel left out because they didn't get enough time. I didn't want any of that. So I decided I'm not going to have more than 10 members in my book club. It's worked out quite well because we have 5 members who consistently show up. And then, including me, we just have a table of 6 that we reserve, which I'll get to in a moment, like the planning of the location and everything. But 6 people is like a really good number. It's not overwhelming. It's easy to organize. And very important for the book club is you guys need to discuss among the members how you will continue adding members, if at all. For us, we simply agreed that like anyone is welcome to sit in on on a meeting if they are curious about it, but we need to give a heads up first. Okay, so next up is obviously the logistics of things. So how often do you guys meet and where? I know there are some book clubs where members will rotate meeting at each other's houses or apartments and take over hosting for each other. I find that to be a little bit much, a bit intimidating. The system I use is that I meet up with the book club members once a month at a cat cafe. What I was basically looking for, or when I was scouting a place to meet, um, was finding a place that's big enough to have potentially up to 10 people in a reservation, in which, mind you, if you're in a big city, most cafes don't really accommodate like large reservations like that. So you have to, yeah, make a lot of phone calls to different places if you really do want to commit to it. And then I was also considering a place that's not too loud. We had tried initially another cafe, but it was way too loud. Like the music was super loud. The people there, obviously they're there to socialize. You can't blame people for socializing in the same space. So yeah, just keep in mind the location should work for everyone. And also, it should be accessible in the sense that it shouldn't cost people too much. A book club really should be about the books and the building a community. If people have to pay a lot of money to like socialize for the book club events, I don't think it's worth it. What's cool with the cat cafe that we've selected in Munich is that they know us by now because we show up regularly for our social reads. And the staff have even asked before, like coming by the table, oh, would you like us to turn down the music a bit? Because they see that we're reading. So it's nice that you can also build a seemingly a sense of community outside of just the book club members. How often do you meet? This can vary so much for the different types of book clubs that are out there, but the one that I started in Munich, we have a social read at the beginning of the month, which is at the cat cafe that I mentioned, where members just bring any book that they want. It can be any genre, just anything. The goal is just to have a focused reading time together so that we're not doom scrolling, basically. And then at the end of each month, we also discuss a book of the month. This is pretty cool because we all talk about the same book and we can sometimes perceive books very differently. And this is actually the most fun part of a book club, I would argue, is getting into the nitty gritty discussions of the books. Which brings me to the topic of the actual books that you select. So when you have a book club, I can highly suggest diversifying the literature. This even counts for book clubs that are very niche. Like, for example, if you want to run a horror book club, you should most certainly diversify the types of horror that you read. So you could read like sci fi horror one month, and then the next month dive into gothic horror. Something maybe more short, something a bit longer, female authors, male authors, like just get across the board a lot of diversity in your reading because this will garner the most interesting discussions, the most interesting perspectives. I know it might be controversial to say this, but don't focus too much on the quality of the literature. I, of course, want to consume things that um, feed my critical thinking and stuff, but you don't just have to do that by reading classics or like high lit. I'm personally detest the romance genre. I am a complete hater of it. Don't vibe with the writing style or the characterization in romance novels. So I try to avoid it at all costs. But you have to consider the members. Some people in the book club might like reading romance, and that is totally fine. If they suggest a romance, you should be open to it. And you should be like, you know what? It's not my normal genre. I don't normally like to dive into this, but let's do it. And you should also ask that the book club members extend that grace. I don't know what you would call it, but expand their minds in a similar regard where, you know, maybe it's not a book they would have otherwise picked up, but let's give it a chance. And on that topic, I can highly recommend that you let book club members help select the next book of the month. What I've planned for my book club is that I select the first 3 months, also with diverse choices, just to get the ball rolling and make the club members feel like they don't have all this pressure at the new year to come up with all these ideas for the club. I just want things to roll smoothly. Also, that's maybe a bit selfishly, I get to choose books that I really want to read or I'm very interested in, and I get them like out of the way at the beginning of the year. And it's like, yes, I got through like these 3 books that I really wanted to read. Starting in April, all the members, you know, contribute ideas, and then we just select through a common vote. And often, someone will bring up a book that they want to read, and it might not get selected for that month, but then we keep it in mind, and we might read it the following month. Um, we also try to diversify what genres we read. So, for example, we read like literary fiction, a Russian classic. We're reading yesteryear at the moment, so contemporary popular fiction to sort of see and dabble into all areas. And this is truly what gives the best discussions. On the topic of discussions, what has really helped fuel some great discussions in the book club that I only started this year, and I can really suggest, is sending discussion questions in a group chat a few days before the actual discussion takes place. This gives members the time to sort of digest what we're going to talk about. Of course, they can add their own questions during the actual discussion, but it gives like a bit of a heads up of what they can still look out for as they're reading and analyzing the book. And if they haven't finished the book at that point, getting those questions in the group chat is kind of like an extra kick to motivate you. Setting some ground rules. It's really important that when you have a book club, you create a culture that encourages people to finish the books, but it's never like pressure or forced. I always told the people from day one, like, if you can't finish a book that month, then just join the discussion talking about what you did get through that at that point. I'm really glad that this has worked well because there are some months where even I cannot finish the book. Funny enough, this happened last year in the fall when we read Twilight. I could not finish Twilight on time. And is it a bit embarrassing as the book club leader to not finish a book? Yes, but it's going to happen. And you just kind of have to embrace the fact that if you are showing you can't finish a book, it lessens the pressure for everyone else to not have to finish or have like these great points prepared about it. The book club at the end of the day really should be about bringing people together, encouraging reading, encouraging critical thinking. And if you didn't finish it, then you just didn't finish it. You know, it's not that big a deal. It's genuinely not that serious. So try to establish this sort of sentiment early on in the book club, and yeah, I would say keep encouraging each other. Recently, what we've been doing is we send like non-spoiler memes or GIFs in the group chat during the reading month, so that it kind of encourages people to check up on, like, where they are in the story or decipher, like, what did they mean by that? Hmm. Oh, and a last point, this is an area that I could still work on. It's that you should try to create community beyond the meetups, right? So, for example, this past Christmas, I hosted a book club, like, end of year party, and I prepared a murder mystery game. That was so much fun. I think it could be fun to just go on a picnic sometimes, or maybe go to a bookstore if there's an author event happening. This would require you, though, to be a little more proactive in the book community, to look things up, maybe make some phone calls, make some reservations. But I think it could be really worth it. Also, it's lovely if you remember everyone's birthday. Try to get that information early on. Like as soon as people join, ask them what kind of books they like to read, when is their birthday, note it down, and then it's nice to just celebrate that together, or in the group chat, send a little happy birthday. Okay, I think that kind of covers all my practical tips and little insights into running a book club. If you have any questions, feel free to write it out in the comments. You can also message me on Instagram. Shocker, I do have a book Instagram. I'm very inactive on there. Can you believe it? Probably, yeah. I'm very inactive on here as well. So yeah, just write me a message if you want to join the Munich book club. Funny, I just talked about like being exclusionist and stuff. No, we always do welcome like new members. Just send me a DM if you're interested, because yeah, we have the social read and we have the book discussion at the end of the month. Members can join either or. You can skip a month if you're not really vibing with the book choice, and yeah, we're pretty cool. Okay, have a lovely time starting your own book clubs, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.